So it has come to my attention that a lot of people struggle with Japanese. And not only do they struggle with Japanese, but they also struggle with learning Japanese. And you may be wondering, well, how did this come to your attention? Well, it came to my attention because I realized that I struggle with Japanese and I'm teaching you. So if I'm struggling and I'm teaching you, I know there's like some struggle behind that scream, some pent up emotion that you just really want to get out. And so I decided to take the liberty to not only give you a few tips as to what I do to learn Japanese, but also give you some tips as what to not do when attempting to learn Japanese, because there are things you shouldn't do, and it's just all around. It could be really bad for you. So we're gonna start off with the do nots because I feel like that's a lot easier, a lot shorter list. So the first thing we have is using Duolingo. Now, hear me out for a second. Duolingo is easily the biggest language learning app in America. Easily. And don't get me wrong, I love the Duolingo bird. It's fucking hilarious. Creepy sometimes, but hilarious most of not. But Duolingo is not a good app for learning Japanese. Maybe other languages, I'm not entirely certain about that, but for learning Japanese or just Asian based languages in general, Duolingo is not a good way to go about it, because they have you on like this like schedule planning, and they pick out what you're learning, and you would assume that the things that they're teaching you is fundamental. It is to help you. It's getting you on the right track. No, that's not how that works. Because I don't need to know how to say ushi, ushi. I don't need to know how to say cow. Okay, it's cool to have in my in my repertoire. That's fine, but it doesn't need to be the first fucking thing I need to learn. The first thing I need to learn is how to introduce myself, not learn how to say ramen or rice. Duolingo just has a very bad. It's just very bad in showing you the things that you need to learn first. It's just very bad all around, and it's not really a good method to teach you Japanese. Now, the second pick for today, the second do not do tip is that expecting your Japanese to be a straight arrow. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, as a foreigner, we learn English, and English is more of a straight arrow in terms of language. You learn the alphabet, you learn how to sound out the alphabet, and then the alphabets are put together, and you just read the word. There are individual words, and they all have a sound pronunciation, so there's no way you could get mixed up. Japanese doesn't work like that. See, the way that Japanese works is that you learn the hiragana, and then you learn the katakana, right? You learn how to recognize them, and then you find out soon that pronunciation means the whole fucking world. In America, somebody can slew a word and you could vaguely understand what they're trying to say, and oftentimes there's not really a big communication difference unless they're like some black person from Ireland speaking English or Australia, and then it becomes like, yeah, man, nice to meet you too. That's essentially what the experience comes down to. But when learning Japanese, you find out very quickly that if you don't know how to correctly pronounce a word, you're kind of fucking screwed, because there are so many words and like kanas that sound alike that you have specific pronunciations that you could get to the point where you could say a completely different sentence from what you're trying to attempt to say, and a native who's listening to you will realize that this person doesn't exactly know how to speak very well. And so my advice to you is to learn to sound out the words. Do not expect your Japanese journey to be a straight arrow, because it will not be. It will be so like this. It will be so like this, and oftentimes it's you're gonna burn yourself out if you believe that your Japanese journey is gonna be a straight arrow. Now, the next do not do is one that I personally struggle with. See, don't only have one source of material. Now, what do I mean by that when I tell you to not have only one source of material? Well, see, when learning a language, it's best to pull from as many sources as you can, especially with a language that is as complicated for Americans as Japanese is. I'd advise you to pull from multiple different sources when attempting to learn Japanese. Only going from one source can not only limit your learning potential, but it can also stagnate you when you're so reliant on this one application to teach you an entire language that has been around for thousands of years. So it's best to go out and search for reliable apps, reliable websites, reliable YouTube videos, and use all of those when it comes to teaching yourself Japanese. Now, that's all the do not do's. So let's move into some of the helpful stuff that actually helped me learn my Japanese. So, Anki. I do use Anki, okay? Now, I'm a broke bitch, so I can't afford the actual app, but there is another app that is free that also works the same. I will be you see it, it's right here. It's right here. I have it right up there, right? That's the app that I use in replacement for Anki. And Anki essentially is an app where you can put in words yourself, right? You can put in the words, you can put in, a sounding for the words, and you can put in a definition, and it kind of works like flashcards, except it works on an algorithm where you go over words that you most likely would forget. And so it helps you to not only keep your mind fresh, but also is a good way to learn Japanese, or to at least memorize the stuff that you already know. Now, the second option, the second option, immersion. Immersion is easily the best. And when I mean the best, I mean it is the best method for learning Japanese. What is immersion, you might say? Well, let your sensei teach you. Immersion is the learning technique where you immerse yourself in a culture of any kind in order to reproduce what that culture has to offer. So, by example, watching a whole bunch of YouTube Japanese podcasts, watching a whole bunch of those and listening to them actually speak not only fluent and steady Japanese, but actually native Japanese. Because again, sometimes, some of the stuff that you learn isn't actually native to what they actually use on a day-to-day basis. So you have to be very keen on the stuff that you pick up, because it can be detrimental to your Japanese learning journey. So you could just look it up, just go on YouTube, type up Japanese podcasts, and just listen to those like 24/7, or just for a couple hours, and really take in what they're saying. Trust me, you're not gonna understand a fuck thing of what they're saying, but that's not the point. Immersion works basically like how a baby brain, how a baby's brain absorbs information that's around them, because their brain's like a little sponge. That's essentially what you're doing. You're absorbing the information, not learning it, but absorbing the information to be able to recognize it. Now, here's my third tip. Reading. Now, I have a website that I use that I will put on the screen. I'm pretty sure it's like Tadoku, and it's basically a free Japanese book website where you can go and read, right? And for most of my for all of my students, let me give you another hint or another tip for learning Japanese. Learn to read first before you learn to speak. And that's because oftentimes it's easier to learn to read something than it is to speak something, in my personal opinion, especially when it comes to Japanese. And so learning to read and recognize the words will help you when it comes to actually speaking the words, because they'll already be in your head. You won't have to, it won't take you as long to think about what the word actually means. And so you can go on there, you can read the books. I recommend you start with starter. Okay, there's like different levels. I'm currently at starter. When I first booted up the website, I was like, oh my god, I can't read a fuck thing that's on here. Mind you, at this point, I have been learning Japanese for months, the wrong way though. And I was like, oh my god, I can't read a damn thing that's on here. And mind you, those were kindergarten books. My pride was hurt. I swear to God, I kid you not, I fell to my knees when I first saw it. But reading them and constantly reading them gives you a sort of foundation for your Japanese. It gives you a way to figure out what the words mean, especially because on Todoku, they have pictures for the, like, pictures along with the words. And so you can use your context clues to figure out what word means what. And it's really fun, it's really interactive, and I just highly recommend you go and do it. It's a really great way. Not to mention there's also a listening system if you can't pronounce the words yourself. So I hope you found this video informative. I hope you found this video, pretty good. And I hope that you have fun, I guess. I'm done from Don Detours. I will be posting two long form videos a week. I will be posting multiple short videos every day. And yeah, I love you guys, and I hope to see you again. Peace.